Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And you guys are just going to love this girl. Her name is Yuri Choi, and I hope I'm saying I didn't even ask if I'm saying her name right. But I want to welcome my new friend, Yuri Choi, to the show. Yuri, welcome.
Good morning.
Did I say it right?
Yes, you said it perfect. Thank you.
I didn't even ask. I'm just going to roll with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, there's not too many variations, so you're safe.
I'm like, phonetically, it's got to be right. So Nick Lowry, our mutual friend Nick, referred you to me and said
awesome.
He's been on the show. So I started this show a couple of years ago to help people get unstuck in life. And right now, I'd say there's a lot of people that are stuck and freaking out and scared and all of that. So I think this is perfect because you're a performance and mindset coach.
Woohoo! Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I talk about all day. So perfect.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. So let's start with, and by the way, there will be times when you're up on screen by yourself like that. I'm still here. Don't worry. So I want to start with where you were born and raised. Let's start there.
Sure. I was actually born in South Korea. And I was born in South Korea. I grew up there till about 3. I lived in Austin, Texas for a year, randomly came back to Korea and grew up there till I was about 11, and then grew up in Denver, and then, I was in California. So I've been all over the place. But right now I'm in the beautiful, sunny Encinitas, North County, San Diego. So quarantined here safely.
Yeah, well, that's not a terrible place to be quarantined.
For sure.
My buddy Zach Benson is on right now. He said, "Yay, South."
Yes.
Do you know Zach?
I do.
Zach's awesome.
South Korean, love it.
Yeah. So you lived like all over the place.
Yes.
Wow. And what landed you in San Diego? Is that like where you went to school and all that, or?
So I went to Chapman University, which is in Orange County, so a little north of here, about an hour north here. And I lived in Newport Beach for a little while, like 10 years.
Okay.
And then I actually moved to San Diego about a year and a half ago. And this was after a big life transition, which I can go a little bit more into. But I just wanted to find peace, and I needed a shift in my energy and just everything. So this is a really peaceful place. There's a cute little meditation garden here that I fell in love with, even though, I can't really go there right now.
Oh, wow.
So
we're going to talk about meditation. I've meditated every single day of my life for 16 and a half years.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time. I live by meditation. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. You've got people on here saying, "Wow, she's so beautiful."
Oh, thanks, Chanel. That's so sweet.
Yeah. So you, where did you graduate high school then? From
Denver.
Oh, Denver.
Oh, yes.
Wow. Okay.
I know. I need a little Yuri tracker. Where have I been?
So, and then you ended up in Orange County going to college.
Yes, I did. So I grew up in Denver, and at the time my parents were very strict, and I was like, I want to go to California where they can't come visit me like every 20 minutes. But as I grow older, I start to miss them a lot. So they ended up moving to California to meet me here. So
did they really?
Yeah. It worked out.
So what was your major in college?
In college, I did psychology and marketing, which is honestly perfect for what I'm doing now.
Wow, yeah.
And I didn't really know why or what I wanted to do at the time. I just knew that I wanted to help people either monetarily or directly. And I feel like coaching, I can kind of do both. So yeah.
That's so awesome. So after college, what happened next? Where'd you go from there?
Yeah, so after college, and by the way, I have a lot of unique life experiences I'd be
I'm
happy
sure.
to share.
I'm
So,
sure.
for where I'm at, for my age, I feel like I've gone through a lot of unique experiences that really helped me shape who I am. And I think for me, I realized that I have the rest of my life to share my message, share my experiences, to inspire people and help them, get unstuck and help them get back on track and, regain their power and all that stuff. So, yeah, just to answer your question, after college, I was just in corporate. I didn't really know what to do, to be honest with you. Good morning, Jamie. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I just kind of fell into like banking, all sorts of different sales jobs.
Yeah.
And after a while, and nothing wrong with it, it just wasn't what I wanted to do.
Right.
And after 10 years of that, my dad ended up getting cancer and went through 2.5 years of excruciating journey as a family, but also a beautiful journey of just really understanding what's really important in life. And after my dad passed away, I just kind of had a moment where I'm like, I just started questioning everything that I thought was normal in my life, and just really questioning everything so that I can redefine who I am, where I'm headed, what I'm going to do with my gifts. So, yeah.
How did you? I love the fact that you just said gifts. So, at what point did you, and how did you discover your gifts? I mean, you're like you've got this radiant glow of beautiful energy coming off of you right now. And every video I've seen you in, you're just radiant with this amazing energy. And so what was it that helped you discover your gift?
I think gifts have been with me since I was born. That's why they're called gifts, right? And like, I have these moments now looking back. I know that these were all these little like signs, like divine breadcrumbs to be like, hey, this is your gift. This is your gift. So even when I was like 5 or whatever, when you start writing journals or whatever, I remember being like, I just want this world to be a happier world. And, at the time I thought every child said that, but I don't think that's true. That's something that I was passionate about then. And then, when I was 17, my mom, attempted suicide and she survived. And so what that really led me to is trying to understand what makes people so happy and so unhappy. And this became kind of like a personal mission and almost like an obsession and passion of mine. Yeah. So I really got into positive psychology, understanding human behavior, understanding just, why people do what they do. So, and at the time, of course, it was a difficult thing to do, but looking back in its own weird way, it was a gift because it brought me to these steps that I needed to take so that I can really start to question what I need to question and, look for these answers and so on. And even, just so many things have happened in my life that just gave me little hints. And so now I look at every experience as a gift and seeing, okay, how can this help me discover my gifts even more or other gifts that I'm not aware of yet? So
I love that. So and I want to back up a little bit. You'll find that I like to jump around. But let's go back to, you said something interesting, that you were in Denver, you went to school in Denver. At least it never snows there.
Never. We ski to school.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends. A buddy of mine in Denver just was showing me this house he was in the other day, and I'm like, dude, is that snow laying on the ground? He's like, yeah, we got 12 inches the other night. I'm like, oh my God, no.
Yeah.
But so you said that your parents were very controlling.
Mm-hmm.
What define that? What's that mean?
So I had a few counts against me, like I'm an only child, I'm a girl, I'm an immigrant, so just like different culture. So they just had really high expectations and a certain idea of how life gets to be for me. Going to college was like a no-brainer, and getting a corporate job was a no-brainer. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like, and of course, like looking back, they wanted the best for me. And
Sure.
in a lot of ways, it worked out. And so I'm grateful for that. And though at the time, I was like, I just want to, I just want to do something different on my own. And but at the time, I think what I learned is that I do value freedom a lot. And I think in that separation, I say, from Colorado to California, I think in that separation of distance, we both got to honor that level of freedom even more, and actually honor connection even more. So, yeah.
How did they feel about you leaving Denver and running off to California?
I was determined. And, to be honest with you, where I went to college, and I think I started following my instincts and my guts early on. I remember visiting the campus, and they actually came with me, so they were kind of supportive. I think they would have rather have me stay, but I just knew that's where I needed to be. That's where my next step was. I just had this like gut feeling, like this is where I get to be. So I was so excited about it, and at first, I could have gone to UC Boulder because it's an in-state school. It would have been a lot more, different price cost.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going to this private school in Orange County, but that's when I decided, because I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do 2-4-1. I'm gonna get 2 degrees in 4 years. So let's do it. I'll make it worth it.
Wow.
Yeah.
2 degrees. So you how long were you in California before your parents moved out there?
Ooh, that's a good question. When did they move? I think I was in California for like good 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I really have to think about it.
So you broke free from the control.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did. And they saw, they're like, oh, wow, if we just like let that breathe a little bit, she has room to grow. So it's a learning experience for both of us.
So you, as you were working in corporate, like what are some of the challenges that you faced in college and in corporate? I mean, you said you had a lot of things. Well, that was probably from your parents' point of view, the strikes against you, but like, what are some of the challenges you faced that you were like, because I think that a lot of people, hit these walls in life, and I mean, it can feel like I'm never getting through this. I've been there. I'm sure you've been there, where you feel like I don't know how to get through this. It doesn't feel like I'm going to, right?
Yeah.
Did you experience any of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Whew. I think it's interesting because looking back, yes, there's 2 kinds of being stuck.
Yeah.
Which is one, it's like so apparent, it's in your face, you're stuck, you're like, oh my gosh, my life is over. And then there's this kind of stuckness that you numb it so much that you don't even know that you're stuck until you kind of come out of it. And I've definitely experienced both. So for example, I think in college and corporate, I had these years that I was doing what's like the next thing that is supposed to be on the right track, but I was so stuck in not knowing, like, what is my purpose? Like, what am I supposed to do, after college, after all this, like, what am I here for? And I felt super stuck in that. But instead of exploring and leaning into that uncertainty and possibility, I ended up, numbing it out. I partied a lot. I used to drink a lot, all this stuff. So in that way, I was stuck. And then it kind of caught up to me later when I really started to question, like, what am I doing here? And it's actually interesting. I'm literally saying this out loud for the first time, which is that stuckness, that kind of stuckness exploded even more in my face when the other kind of stuckness, the apparent like confronting stuckness happened. So everything kind of blew up. And I think that's why, when my dad got sick and all these big life changes started happening, those became even more apparent because, just kind of like the quarantine, right? Like how people are facing, it's really not about the quarantine. It's all the stuff we've been stuffing down before this. And it's just with this big life change, a lot of these things are coming up for people is what I've observed at least. So,
sure.
Yeah.
So you did a lot. And I'm a recovered alcoholic with 17 and a half years sober and well, yeah, but I say that not for that. I mean, it's a gift. And I accepted the gift and took action on receiving it. But, there's a lot of people that go through those phases in life where it's like, let me just do everything I can to get outside of reality and numb whatever it is. And it sounds like you went through some of that at least.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. And the dangerous part of it all was that I was super functional. Like I was still doing well and pretty much, a lot of aspects of my life. But what the cost of all that was, cost of me being numb in that way was that I wasn't clear and I couldn't connect to that bigger purpose.
Yeah.
Which, it was like this underlying dullness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you do in corporate America?
So I was in banking, which was not a good idea for me personally. I have so much.
Sounds boring.
Who do it well, but it wasn't for me. And then I did banking for a little bit. I was in college, an art college for 5 years doing admissions counseling. So I did actually pick up a lot of my coaching skills and experiences during that time. So that was actually really cool. And then I fell into sales and, advertising, digital advertising to tax services, like all sorts of random things.
Yeah. How did it go in sales? You seem like you'd be great in sales.
Yeah, it was interesting. I did have a great time and I was good. And every year and a half to 2 years, I would hit this wall being like, I can't sell this anymore. And then I would, at the time, blame it on the job, blame it on the product. Yeah. But really, it was just me. I was just not happy doing that because I knew there was something else I was supposed to be doing. And it's kind of cool. Again, every experience led me to where I'm at. And now I really get to embrace that because that is a big part of anything I do, right? Like you're having to enroll people into who you are, what you do, the bigger messages, the visions. It is all sorts of a sales process in a way. So it's been helpful. And I'm happy not to be there.
So when was where was the, I guess, what was the moment that you had the shift where you were like, I'm ready to do my thing?
Yes. It wasn't just one thing, I know, hi, Pat. Some people, take the Band-Aid off like this. I did a really, really painful, excruciating way until I had to go, but it was a process. So for me, I started my yoga fit apparel line right before I quit my corporate. So I kind of started dabbling into that, starting to dream about the day that I would quit. But, for a while, for months, I was scared. I was just straight up scared. I didn't know what it meant to not have this thing that was such a big part of me, this ability, this corporate world, this community. I didn't know what it all meant. So it was really scary for a while. And then I pushed it off. And, I was one day I was actually, it's kind of a cool story. I was on the phone with one of my best friends from high school, Bonnie, and during lunch break at my job. And I was like, Bonnie, I don't want to even go back. I cried in my car yesterday leaving work. I'm just so unhappy. And I was like, what do I do? And she, we were just chatting. She's like, I think you should just do it. You've told me, this before for me. I know that this is the right thing for you. And I was just still so scared. And this was like 3 months after my dad had passed away. And every time I see a butterfly, I think of my dad. At the time, I'm like on the phone with Bonnie, just being like, I don't know what to do. And all of a sudden, I'm not even joking, this little butterfly walks, not even flies, walks up to me.
Wow.
Phone, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then so I like hold out a piece of paper that I was holding at the time, and then it like hops on it. I'm like, okay. So I'm on the phone holding this piece of paper, like doing an eye gazing thing with this butterfly. I'm like, I think I got my answer. I think I gotta go quit. And I had all these stories about how I can't quit that day because it was the day before my birthday. It was too dramatic and all these excuses.
Yeah.
And all of that didn't matter once I like really leaned into that faith and took that leap of faith. And I think we're always getting messages, and sometimes it's a butterfly, sometimes it's something else. But as long as we're open to it, these messages are everywhere.
Wow, that's crazy. I can remember 2 different times in my life where I had a monarch butterfly land on my hand.
Whoa.
And just like this one time, it literally just hung out there for a while, and I'm like taking pictures of it, and my little girl it was insane. So, and I'm like that. I'm like, there's got to be a message in this for me. I don't know what it is, but wow. So you were working, and you went over this pretty fast. I'm pretty sure you said you had a yoga apparel line.
Yeah, so I started a yoga apparel line with one of my friends, and it was a little bit less than a year. And to be honest, that was my first business. We didn't really know what was happening. And after a while, we realized that we have different core values, different visions. Even though we were saying the same words, we said, empowering women to live fearlessly, and this fitness and health brand, but we realized that we had a very different idea of what that meant. So we ended up, and at the time I was going into my coaching and all that. So we ended up closing that. And though, again, everything has taught me so much. I think I realized that that's the number one thing that we have to do now. We get to do now when we have any kind of organization, any kind of business, any kind of partnership, is to really get clear on the vision together, really get clear on the core values together. And this is actually one of the things that I focus on a lot with some of my leaders and CEO clients who are having a hard time trying to empower their team or whatever. So
is getting clear on the core values, the mission, the direction, all of that.
Yeah. And what are we made of? I believe that's kind of like the skeleton, the backbone of each person, each organization.
Yep.
What is that center? How do you, people talk about alignment. People talk about, being, aligned for that vision. But what is that vision? What are you tuning yourself into?
Right. So the you were working in corporate America and started coaching.
Yeah, no. I started my yoga fit apparel line, and then after I quit, I actually my life has been interesting. So after I quit, by the way, this is the part I didn't tell you. I actually started painting a lot. So I became an artist. I started painting. I started selling my art. I got invited to art shows like World of Dance. Well, that was an art show, but I was doing a mural there. Within 2 to 3 months of me declaring that I was an artist, which I don't have any training. I just love art. My dad, who passed away, he was an artist by trade in the beginning of his career. So I feel like I kind of channeled his energy. But what that gave me just this confidence that I can do this. This life is really for me to explore. And that became really clear that I get to do what I want to do. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So then I started coaching. To answer your question, I started coaching after I quit corporate, actually. Yeah.
Wow. I think I remember I saw a picture on your Facebook page of you doing some kind of art, and I wasn't sure what I was looking at. So I'm like, I got to find her videos. I'm trying to watch one of your videos just so I could get the feel of your, your essence and who you are. And so do you still do art?
Not as much as I'd like to. I've been actually trying to like go to Michael's and all that, but I think they're closed. Yeah, and yeah, I've been craving that. I've been doing a lot of my creative work right now through writing and movement, like dancing, yoga. So I still have my creative outlets, and I do miss art. I haven't done that in a few weeks, few months, 2 months.
Wow. Well, maybe we'll be, quarantined and you'll have a chance.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Have you noticed though that like everyone's like, oh, this quarantine, but then like they're like, yeah, but because of that, I'm doing this. Because of that, I'm doing this. Like all these things that they want to do. I hear that a lot.
I have become really, 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 really good friends with a guy that's an actor in Hollywood. He has been for 45 years. And we actually became so close that him and I and another guy named Scott in Las Vegas started a show that we do on Sunday nights now. So like it's incredible, and had it not been for the quarantine, because he's on the TV show The Resident, Glenn Morshower. And so, Glenn?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I've met him at Habitude Warrior.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Glenn's like a brother to me now. And had it not been for this quarantine, though, we would have met eventually, but not grown as close as we have. And it's so I think, and I think that you'll say the same thing. If you look for the blessings, you'll find the blessings, right?
Yeah, totally. So I started holding these like Zoom yoga classes every day at 8:30. You're more than welcome to join, Ken, if you want. And
I yoga all the time.
Do you?
No, oh. I don't know anything about yoga.
Okay, well, I'm not gullible.
Do you?
I'm excited.
I've never done yoga in my life, but I'm open to it. So
yeah, so I've been doing that, and I started creating a little community around it. And one day, because I typically go to a yoga studio, and I could have just been like, oh, this sucks, I can't go to my yoga studio. And then we found a different way. And now, like one day I was doing yoga with them. I'm like, you know what? I think one day, looking back, I'm going to miss these Zoom yoga classes with you guys. And this is awesome. So, yeah, absolutely. There's these nuggets of blessings everywhere.
That is so awesome. I think when this is all over, we're not going to miss those. I think there's going to be a hybrid version of everything we're doing now.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. I think maybe, I don't know. So, and I've never been busier in my life than I have been. Right. It's insane. Yeah. So how long have you been doing coaching now?
For about 2.5 years.
Okay. What are some of the things that you've found that keep people stuck?
Yes. Negative self-talk loops. So I believe, it's interesting because I've been studying a lot about just like habits and addictions and these different things. And one thing that's becoming really clear is like anger and stress are actually addictions of their own, because it literally keeps you in the loop. There's a trigger, you go there and you go through this loop. And until you become aware of it, you don't know you're in it. Yep. So by becoming aware of that loop, hey, do you notice that every time that this happens, you fall into the same loop and you go doop, doop, doop. That's exactly what's keeping them in their loops. And another thing is I started calling these the fun blocker. So this could look like, fear of success, fear of failure, perfectionism, whatever, fear of rejection, all these irrational fears. I call them the fun blockers because they literally block the fun and joy and peace out of our lives.
Right.
So that could look like, for some people, negative thinking. That could look like, drinking. That could look like all sorts of different things. And I'm not saying any of these are bad or good, and that's not the paradigm I come from. I think everything is just a choice. And once you become aware of it, you can make a powerful choice and say, hey, there's nothing wrong here. It's just I get to choose a different route if I want to.
So, and I have to say you're 1000% correct. People do become addicted to emotions, right? And you can become addicted to, most people are addicted to the negative emotions, right? But
Yeah.
you can become addicted to positive emotions,
Yeah.
right? So because of being a recovered alcoholic and having sponsored and helped a lot of people in that realm, I know that patterns can be broken, that those addictions can be broken. For someone addicted to anger, because that's a big one, how do you help interrupt that pattern? What do you do to help them, number one, get out of denial?
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful. Denial is very, very powerful, and it's real. How do you help somebody interrupt that, break that habit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So anger is a stress and fear infused emotion. And really what I help people do is, first of all, reframe, knowing that anger is actually a color of love, believe it or not. Most people deny that they have an anger, loop because they have some kind of judgment about it, or they think other people do. But really, why do you ever get angry? It's because you love something so much that you want to protect it. Right. But if a mother sees that their child is being threatened in any way, the mother is going to get angry. Why? Because she cares and loves the child so much. In that same way, a lot of times we're trying to protect something that is really important to us. We're just sometimes not aware what that is. So, for example, maybe you honor this value of integrity so much. You value this value, or you honor this value of honesty, or whatever it is that you're trying to protect.
Yeah. That's
really where anger comes from. So helping people see that has been really powerful. Hey, you might think being angry is bad, but what if we try on this idea that it's actually you showing love? You're just speaking a different language. And so knowing that, what if you chose to speak a different language?
Right.
To show that love instead, and say and honor whatever that anger is showing you that's important to you that you might have not been aware of before. And then you get to use this opportunity to say, thank you, anger, because without you, I wouldn't have even known that this was that important to me. And then you get to make a choice, which is, okay, well, knowing that, this is actually what's really important to me. Maybe I get to just go back and think that thing that I'm really, really passionate about, and then create a different option. And that's it. Create a new possibility. And I think a lot of people get stuck in these loops, whether it's about anger or something else, because this other layer of self-judgment. So removing that helps break that pattern first. Yeah. Because now people get to say, oh, well, I'm not bad for being angry. No, these are, I believe that every emotion has a soul's intent of why that's manifesting, as well as a shadow. And just like anything else, we just get to become aware of both and then powerfully choose. Okay, well, knowing these cost and benefit analysis of this, what do we get to do now? What do we choose now? And that's it.
Well, look who's on here right now.
Nick!
What's going on, Nick? He said denial is not a big problem, LOL. Right. Right.
I see what you did there.
So I think, but I know people who in my past that have been, their initial reaction to everything is to get pissed off and get angry about it, right? And they don't, I don't think that they even if you point it out, like, hey, do you realize that your knee-jerk reaction to everything in life is to get angry? And they're in denial, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about those people? How do you help them get out of denial? Like, dude, you're a jerk every time something good or bad happens. How do you help that person? Or can you?
Yeah, I think as people who have those type of people in their lives, the best thing that we get to do is have those difficult conversations without blaming them, without attacking them, and just saying, hey, like, my experience of you is this. And I'm saying this out of love. And also the impact, sharing that true impact that it had on you.
Mhm.
And I know this is going to sound super counterintuitive, but pouring them so much love that their anger has nowhere to go or grow. Like, for example, I had a situation where my mom and I, we have a fabulous relationship now, which is amazing. And it wasn't always like that. And my mom has, so going back, I'm going to get a little vulnerable here, which is my biological dad and my mom, they got divorced when I was younger, which is why I left Austin, Texas. I was young. Yeah, just to kind of weave that story. Yeah. So my mom has this kind of like deep-rooted resentment towards my biological father. And after one of these like transformational like seminar coaching thing I did, I called my mom fully knowing that this was gonna trigger her. Like, I told her, I was like, hey mom, I didn't even say I'm like, I'm just thinking about reaching out to my biological dad. My stepdad, who I called dad, by the way, had just passed away. And I'm starting to think about like, hey, my real dad is somewhere probably getting old as well. I'm just kind of curious how he's doing.
Yeah.
And I knew full on this was not going to sit well with her. And, I was prepared this time though, because before I was like, whenever she would, get mad about it, I'd be like, mom, like, what is wrong with you? This isn't about you, just like, clashing with her.
Yeah.
Instead, at the moment I brought that up, she just went off. She went off, totally expected. And she went off for a very, very long time, to the point I was impressed. But I put the phone down.
You were impressed? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's stamina. So, so I put the phone down and I did something different. And, sometimes we blame the other person. Like, why can't they break the pattern? But are we truly taking responsibility to break the pattern on our own as well? Like, because she would react and I would always react back to her. So I was in that loop with her, So I just put my phone down. I said it and I put it down, turned down the volume, and I just said this mantra: I love you. 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 And I just prayed until she got tired of, whatever she had to do, get out. It went on for a long time. And then after she kind of quieted down and I hadn't said one word, I picked up the phone and I was like, Mom, like, are you complete? And then she went off for another 15 minutes and then she was complete. And then finally I said, Mom, do you realize I literally didn't say a word the last hour? I've been praying for you because whatever that came up has nothing to do with me.
Wow.
I'm very clear now. That has nothing to do with me, but I'm actually honestly concerned because I love you so much. And having done all these research, stress, anger is the killer of health. It causes cancer. It causes bad things. And I'm genuinely hopeful that you get to release that, not for my dad, not for me, but for you, because I love you and I want you to be around. And for her, something clicked that day that she realized that this anger, even though at the time she was certain that it was at me, she got to take a step back because I got to give her the space. I got to not react. I got to break the pattern on my end.
Yeah.
She had no choice but to like really see what was going on. And then a week later, she's like, Yuri, I bought all these self-help books and I'm like, are you okay? But it was so amazing to see that transformation.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, and I don't get to take, credit for it because it was her in the end who realized it. And I realized though how much I've been feeding into that story of anger with her, even though sure she might be the first one to react, but it's still my responsibility not to react to that reaction. So yeah.
I partially disagree with you. I think you do get to take some credit because you recognized it, number one, and there's a I don't know if it's what it's where it originated, but I'm sure you've heard of the Ho'oponopono prayer, right?
Yes.
Is that it's Hawaiian or something like that?
50 O's.
yeah, Ho'oponopono or something. But it's literally what you're talking about. Dr. Wayne Dyer wrote about it a lot, saying, I love you. Not out loud necessarily, but just saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you over and over and over to somebody like that or a situation like that. And it's healing. It literally is healing.
Yeah.
And so I think you get to take a little tiny smidgen of credit, which is amazing, absolutely amazing that you were aware enough, self-aware enough to be able to do that. That's incredible.
Thank you. And I think for me in the last year specifically has been this process of embodying everything I teach and coach and I know, and like really bringing that knowledge down to my heart and my body. So I'm really living it. And that's when I started to really just become more in tune with everything. Because one thing to know, and I think there's nothing wrong with that because that's how it starts. Right. And then you start to live it is a whole different journey. And by all means, I'm not perfect. I still have my moments. And it's been cool to like feel that in my body when I start to live in that. I'm just more peaceful.
Right.
Yeah.
And happy.
Yeah.
And the eyes are the windows to the soul. You can see it. Like you're just, like I said earlier, you're just radiating this joy and happiness, and it's amazing. But I do have a question regarding that. Yes. Do you ever get angry?
Yes. Yes.
You said that with an angry look on your face.
That's my normal face. Yeah, I do. Hey, Bob. And
I love Bob.
I will say it's really just the practice of shortening down, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this, is shortening down that refractory period.
Yeah.
Are you going to still get angry? Sure. But like noticing that right away or noticing that as soon as possible and then just turning back to like, how can I lean into my vision? How can I lean into creating something that actually works? Yeah. And that time has shortened over and over and over again. So yeah, sure, there's moments and I just get to say, okay, yeah, what do I want to do from here? What can I take responsibility of? What can I do? Like, how can I move forward, creating towards my vision rather than, staying in this loop of any sort?
This period of time, there's never been a period of time in the history of the world that I'm aware of where the entire world went on lockdown. Like literally the entire world. And I've said, like, man, what an opportunity to become so much more self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
And if you come out of this and you're not more self-aware and in tune with what you said earlier, your gifts, like you're just like stealing from yourself, don't you think?
Yeah, totally. And from yourself, no one else.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you left corporate America to be a coach and pursue what really, and I'm sure was there a pay cut involved?
Oh, let me just share with you the first like 6 months. It was actually kind of cool looking back again, there was a month where I literally made $0. I went from making like, six figures to a month where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have an income. And I got to really like sit with how much is my worth not attached to my income. Because I think until that point, there was this level of I am what I'm able to generate. I am what I'm able to make. And there was that like deep rooted part of me that thought my worth was attached to that. Yeah. So that month I was confronted once again. I had to redefine my worth outside of that completely, because I knew that deep down I wasn't worth nothing just because I didn't have an income that month.
Right.
But I also, it was very confronting, and it was really freeing coming out of that. And
I can so relate to that. I remember when I first got sober, my world was collapsing, lost my business, the big house, 2 Mercedes, and my little coupe Mercedes was my identity. And when they drove it away, the repo man, I was like, my life ended at that moment. Like everything I thought was real about life suddenly became a lie. And I mean, I was crushed, and I went through that period, right? Like I went through a period of like, that's not what life's about. So I kind of want you to touch on that a little bit more, because most people, and I've heard Bob Donnell, who's, you know, Bob, right? Yeah. Bob's amazing. I've heard him talk about this. I've heard a lot of great people talk about this, that their self-worth is attached to what they do.
Yeah.
And that's not what life's about, is it?
Mm-mm. Yeah, life is about, and it's interesting because breaking that paradigm for me has actually started to attract more abundance in my life. Detaching my worth from money, detaching my worth from how much I make is counterintuitively helping me make more money and abundance and, different ways, because now what happens is I don't have to do it. I get to do it for fun. I get to play. I get to create. I get to do things because I know that it's just all fun and games, So instead of having to do it, it becomes fun, and it becomes about just living my purpose. So, yeah.
So somebody that, and and this is the reality of this current situation. A dear friend of mine, I will not mention names, but a very, very dear friend of mine had someone under their employment that they had to lay off during this period, and that particular person committed suicide. And I can't. So I think that a lot of people are feeling really, really hopeless because of what we were just talking about. Their entire identity is attached to the money. The fear becomes overwhelming, or how do you, those people that are barely hanging on to life right now, how do you help them get past that in the moment and become what they're meant to become?
Yeah. So this is something that I talk about in my book, and it's really a lot of people kind of, I don't have like a nice little thing to show, but imagine like you're building a foundation of a house.
Yeah.
And there's one solid brick. And if that breaks, the whole house would collapse. So a lot of people have their entire identity in like 1 or 2 bricks for them to fall into that darker place, is what I found. So my invitation for those people is to diversify your bricks into smaller bricks that can become a foundation. Meaning, if you've only identified yourself as a professional in a certain industry, or a business owner, or even a husband or whatever, try on putting on these different social identities that make up who you are to create that foundation. So even it's kind of like Jenga, that one block game, even if you pull one out, you have the rest to support you. And that could look like being in different communities. That could look like trying different activities, maybe trying yoga. You can become a yogi. Maybe try painting. You can become a painter in your heart. You can become a musician. You can become a friend. You can become redefine your identity as a granddaughter, grandson, a friend, best friend, whatever these identity blocks are, create them, diversify them, and lean on them to support you during this time, knowing that you're not made of one block. You're multidimensional. There's so many different aspects about each human. So it's impossible to say you're made up of this one identity. So a lot of times, if you identified so much, your entire identity with this job, and that job gets pulled out, guess what? It's going to collapse. So start building those different identities, whether, being in different communities, support group, or, just trying different fun activities.
Nobody knows this yet, but when before we went live, you said, "Hey, I'm doing a thing to help raise money for a charity group. Can we talk about that?" And we don't know each other well enough for you to know this, but I live my life to give and help others. Like that's literally what I do. And so I was like, oh my God, I love this chick already. Like as soon as you said that, I was like, this is my kind of people.
Oh, thank you, Ken.
And I think that it's something we haven't touched on yet. I'm going to post the link, by the way, right now to your charity group that you're talking about. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk about it. But I do want to say that the most successful, and I'm talking about happiness, joy, and financial, which is actually a byproduct of happiness and joy, right? The happiest, most successful people in the world are normally huge givers. Do you find that to be true?
Yes. And so one of the categories of high performers I work with are some people who are financially abundant, yet they're not abundant.
Yes.
And so, yes, for true abundance, true overflowing, true wealth, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that, I think I want you to talk about the, what this fundraiser is that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ken, by the way, P.S., I felt the same way when you started talking about meditation. I'm like, these are my people.
Yeah.
Not meditated for 16 plus years. That's incredible.
I'll be late for a meeting before I miss meditation.
Oh,
I will not miss it. I will not miss meditation. When I'm traveling, I meditate in the morning, no matter where I am.
Yeah, it's so important. So I love that. And so I'm a part of this leadership group. It's called ALA. It's called Ascension Leadership Academy. And then from there, we typically, have a project we're supposed to do for a community service project. And then this whole pandemic happened. So we really, really wanted to create an impact that's going to help people during this time. And what we agreed on as a group is that we get to help the frontline heroes. I feel like these are people who, a lot of us are just quarantined at home, but a lot of these people who are working frontline, they are risking their lives to help fight this pandemic, this war, this virus, and we don't even have to be there. And we get to, be a part of that and know that we're in this together as a nation, as a community of actually global community, right? And anyways, we created something called frontlineherofund.com .org. I'm sorry. And then essentially this is going to go, we're going to raise $200,000 and up for the next 10 weeks to create funds for families of COVID affected frontline medical professionals. So there are people who, are nurses and doctors and the families of them and they got, affected and critically fell ill or passed away. And we help support those families. And I think this is kind of twofold, which is some families actually need the funds, and some families may need just like the warmth from the community.
Yeah.
So it's going to go both ways, and it's going to be a grant-like process that the nurses and the doctors, they can actually apply for this, and we have a committee that gets to award them. And yeah, so I'm personally committed to raising at least $10,000, and I would love to post that below. And I think this is just a way for us to give back and us to feel supported as a community. And looking back during this quarantine, I want to say that I was a part of this. I want to say that I was a part of helping this community in some way. And so, it's actually been kind of hectic, because basically what we did is we created this fundraiser under an umbrella of a nonprofit called the Giving Angels. And
right.
the mission is to actually eradicate homelessness for veterans. So it's kind of like we're helping the fallen heroes, but in a different time. So we got to be housed under that. And we went through this whole process of creating this fundraiser, and it's been so purpose-driven that I've been so just busy in a good way. I'm getting I'm getting so many calls from all these people trying to figure this out, and in a way I feel like this is exactly what I was supposed to be doing during this time. And I'm just grateful that I get to hopefully create an impact. So if any of you guys are watching and you are called to help, I would love that. So yeah,
that is so awesome. I think I can't even believe we are literally at the end of the hour already. That's insane. That happened what happened?
Fun.
So first, where is the best place for everyone to follow you?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Facebook, obviously. We're on Facebook Live. You can follow me on Instagram. My handle is Yuri, YURI, 1C. Or you can follow me on YouTube. You can follow me. You can go to my website, yurichoicoaching.com. So many options. But
is all your social media on your website too?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, so it's just yurichoi.com. Is that, or no?
yurichoicoaching.com.
Yuri Choi. I'm going to create a banner and scroll it across the bottom as we finish up here. choicoaching.com, correct?
Yes.
Right there, yurichoicoaching.com. Is that it?
Banner. So cool.
Yeah. So, Yuri, what for anyone right now that's struggling, that's fearful, that is uncertain, there's so much uncertainty. What do you say to those people? What are your parting words of advice or wisdom to help them get through this tough time?
Yeah. All I have to say is remember who you are. You're born fearless. We created all these illusions of certainty, that life is certain in a certain way. We created this illusion of fears, and really we just get to remember who we are, which is that we're fearless, limitless creators. What do you want to create? There's nothing wrong here. It's just different. So yeah, let's remember to access that creativity, that power that is always within you.
Nick Lowry, thank you so much for introducing me. He's amazing. And I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for spending the time with me this morning, sharing I love your energy. You're just glowing with amazing energy. So thank you so much. And everybody, make sure you go over to yurichoicoaching.com. Follow Yuri. I'm sure if you have questions or a situation, she's there. She's ready to help you. So follow her. Yuri, don't hang up on me yet. I'm going to end this though. Thank you to everyone who's watched and shared this out, and all of your wonderful comments. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. I really appreciate you. It's been an honor to be here, and you're so awesome. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you guys later.